All right. Hey, Toads. It's week 9. We made it to the end of our distance learning. I'm very excited about this week. We are getting ready to wrap up our unit on rocks and minerals. And so, of course, we know with every end of the unit, we have what's called a cornerstone, which is like our big project at the end where we take all of the information that we've learned throughout the course of the unit, and we kind of apply it to a project of our own. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to introduce our Cornerstone project for this week, for the end of unit 4 or 5 over rocks and minerals. All right, so make sure you have your packets in hand and you are ready to jump into our Cornerstone. All right. So here we go. So today you guys are going to be introduced to the culminating project, which we also refer to as the Cornerstone. You're going to complete that this week. You will analyze the project's writing mode, which for this week we are working on what's called an informational brochure. You're also going to ask questions about what you want to research for the topic of your brochure. All right, so follow along with me as I read the blue scroll here next to the picture of the birthstones. It says, for your distance learning culminating project, you will become a real life geologist studying a gemstone in order to create an informational brochure that would be on display in a museum. For this project, you will pick a birthstone to research. Now, either the birthstone can be like your actual birthstone that represents the month you were born, or you can just choose a birthstone that you're interested in learning more about. After researching that birthstone, then you're going to create an informational brochure that tells about it. Now you're probably thinking, Mr. Freeman, what in the world is an informational brochure? Well, you are in luck because I am going to share some examples of informational brochures so that you can know exactly what you are going to create. All right, so as you guys know, throughout this unit, we've gathered lots and lots of information about different rocks and minerals. And so now it's you guys' turn to research a birthstone of your choice. Like I said, you're gonna present this in the form of a brochure. So exactly what is a brochure? So a brochure is actually a type of nonfiction text. It's like a very small booklet, and it contains information about one single subject. Now, where could you possibly find a brochure? Well, oftentimes you see them like when you're traveling to a new city, sometimes when you visit a college or even a museum. You know, we've been to different museums together, and they'll have different brochures out at the front, kind of in the lobby. So that's what they basically are. So now let's take a look at some examples. Here's the first brochure sample that we're going to look at. This one is about, I believe, different summer activities for kids. And I want you guys to take just a few seconds to look at this brochure and ask yourself, what do you notice? What are some things that really pop out about this brochure to you? Okay. Now, I know some of you probably said, oh, I see lots of pictures. Some of you may have even pointed out the different headings under each section. Some of you might have even noticed that the brochure itself is divided into 3 big sections there. All right, very good. Let's take a look at another one. Here's another brochure. Take a few seconds, look at it, and then tell me what are some things that you notice. What things might be similar that we saw in the first brochure? All right, some of you may once again be pointing out the pictures. Once again, you see the big headings. Notice how colorful it is, right? There It's all talking about one single subject. This one is a brochure about how it's fun to be healthy and different ways that you can be active but still have fun. All right, very good. So, did you guys notice any of the visuals, how the text was organized? Did you notice how the information was organized? Not just the text, but the actual information. Did you notice the writing style? Did you notice that every section had a topic sentence and key details? That sounds familiar. That kind of sounds like what we do, right? And I'm sure lots of you noticed all of the different text features. So let's really jump into analyzing the first brochure. So I know when I pick up the brochure, the first thing that I notice is that it has 3 parts. Remember, we talked about that, the 3 sections, right? But they're all discussing the exact same subject. I also noticed that on the front cover, which is where the big heading Summer for Kids, that would be the front cover once you fold it up. So I noticed that the front cover has text features and they draw my attention to the important things that they want me to know. I also know that the title of the brochure is really big, bold text, right? And I also noticed that there is an image on the cover. The front cover of the brochure is what gives me the most basic information about this subject. So whenever I pick up the brochure, I can automatically identify or have some idea about what the subject is of this brochure. The last thing that I notice is that when I open the brochure, I see that it's organized into 3 different sections. Each section has an image. I notice that when I read the text, that there's a clear topic sentence and then supporting details, right? All of these things help me to understand more information about the subject that's featured in the brochure, okay? All right, now let's quickly brainstorm some ideas. We know that we have to become geologists. We are going to do the research over a birthstone that we pick, right? But outside of the birthstone, let's think about some ideas about what we can include in our brochure. Think about the 2 brochures we looked at. Think about what both of those brochures had, and then how can we take that and apply it to our own brochure, okay? Some things that I definitely want to include in my brochure is I want to have big, bright pictures of my birthstone, right? Both brochures had some big, bright, beautiful pictures, right? That really captured our attention. So I want to make sure that I include those in my own brochure. I also might want to include pictures of jewelry for which the birthstone is used. You know, whatever birthstone I pick, I can go research what type of jewelry actually has this birthstone in it. Let's brainstorm some titles. One that I thought about is like if someone is researching diamonds, a really cool title might be Dangerous Diamonds. And that particular section can be talking about how it might be dangerous to mine diamonds. Or maybe if you're doing your research over the pearl, maybe precious pearls, right? We know pearls are very valuable. So maybe we could have a section dedicated to talk about what makes pearls so precious, right? You also want to include information about how the birthstone is formed. And lastly, maybe I want to discuss or have a section about what are the most common uses of the birthstone that I'm doing research over. What is it mostly used for? Okay, so those are just some ideas. All right, the last thing we want to do today, thinking about how we're going to plan our brochure, think about all of the things that you guys have already learned about minerals and gems. Even think about the things that you already knew before we started studying rocks and minerals. What are the things that you have learned or that you already knew about gems? And make sure you use that evidence from the text to support your response, your research, okay? So what things do we already know about gems, guys? We know that some minerals are rare gemstones. We also know that gemstones vary in color, which is, and the reason for that is because they are made out of different materials. We discovered that information in one of the texts. We also know that more common gemstones are known as semi-precious. We also know that gemstones are very durable, right? Very strong. Sometimes they can withstand scratches and all types of damage. Next, we know that gemstones are formed deep in the earth from heat and pressure, right? These are all different things that we have learned about gemstones, okay? Now, next, we want to brainstorm 4 questions. What are 4 things that you want to learn about the birthstone that you picked, okay? These are going to be the 4 questions that we're going to use to research information about our gemstone, okay, or our birthstone. So the first thing that I want to learn is I want to know, where is the gemstone found most commonly? Where is it located? Where do most I guess geologists or whoever goes out to find these gemstones, where do they most commonly find them? All right. Secondly, how is the gemstone formed? Okay. There are some gemstones that are formed completely different from other gemstones. So how is the one that you are researching, how is it formed? Thirdly, I want to find out, what are some characteristics of this gemstone? What does it look like? What's the average size of the gemstone? Maybe what does it represent? Okay, in certain cultures, right? Those are characteristics. Lastly, what are myths about this gemstone? Okay, there's an entire section in this week's packet that's just dedicated to different myths about gemstone. What are things that people have been known to say about it? Has it been proven to be true, or is it, a myth? Is it fact or is it fake? Is it an opinion? So what are different myths about your gemstone? And then lastly, in the blue box at the bottom of this page, that is where you're going to write what gemstone you have decided on. Okay. Now remember, it can be your actual birthstone that represents the month you were born, or it can just be a birthstone that you want to do more research or you want to learn more about. Okay. For my example, I am going to do research over the garnet birthstone, okay, because that's my actual birthstone. My birthday is in January, and garnet is the birthstone for January. So that is what I'm choosing to do my research over. All right. So tomorrow, when you guys come back for day 2, I'm actually going to walk you through the research phase of our project. Okay, so we're going to look at the text that they have provided for us this week, and we are actually going to answer those 4 questions from the text. All right, so I will see you guys tomorrow, and we'll move on to day 2, where we'll start actually researching information about our birthstone. All right, see you.